What's good, everybody, and welcome to the long-awaited second return of the Battleground of Bad Opinions podcast. We had to take a little break just because life was kicking our ass for a minute, but we're back. We got some time to talk. With us, we got Meghann, as always, and then me, Andy, your driver, host, and main man extraordinaire for the podcast. And then below me, we got Josh, the leader of this cult of whatever you want to call this shit.
Dysfunctional personalities.
I don't think we really have an agenda today other than this. We're going to talk a little bit about the tournament of the movies that white women or women in general we're going to force you to watch. So I'll let them kind of cover that because I've been a little bit checked out on this one, but just welcome in. Thanks for giving us another watch.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, the last episode we did was like the just unhinged complaining about the world.
Yeah,
crashing and burning. It's probably time for a little break after that.
It looked like some shit was fixing to go down all over. I mean, it still looks like it doesn't like anything's changed. The fires have changed color a little bit, you know. They're not quite as hot as the winter cold sets in.
No, they become a little more targeted though. They're taking out highways now. It's fine.
Yeah. Speaking of as the winter's setting in, there was a post the other day in the group where someone was bitching about people bitching about time change. And I get that, like, in fallback, yeah, we get that extra hour. Like, I don't really understand the, like, complaint in the morning, except for kids. Because, you know, kids still wake up at the same time, whatever. But what you motherfuckers don't understand that have not worked night shift in a job is that your body don't give a fuck what that clock says. It knows that you're supposed to be off work at 9 o'clock. So at 8:30 and you still got half an hour left, that is pain. That is something to bitch about.
It's just so unnecessary. And there's like, and that person made it sound like there's no evidence that there's actually any like negative consequences of this, but there's plenty of research that shows that the week after time changes, the least, what's the word I'm looking for?
Productive.
That's it. Sorry, it's getting late. This time change, but it's the least productive week of the year. There's more car crashes. There's so many other problems that come along with it. Like, I don't know. It's easy to dunk on it, but it's so easy to dunk on it because it's stupid. Like, why are we doing this?
Like, people don't understand an hour is a lot. Like, when your circadian rhythm is involved, an hour is a long fucking time.
That cat just came into frame so perfectly. It was like a Wes Anderson film, the way that cat just perfectly framed itself.
Yeah, Mouse is good at that because that is a cat named Mouse.
I love that. Josh, I don't know if you know this, but Casey, had 2 cats when she was in college with a guy, and they broke up, and he was like, I can't keep these cats, even though he was keeping the cats, but it's fine. So I took the cats, and I still have her cats.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But one of them did pass, but the other one is, oh man, he's a monster. He's like 18 pounds. And so is that one.
Okay.
He's
like, what are we talking about?
He's chunky. He's got rolls. And
I'm sure y'all seen the little scale where it's like normal and then oh Lord, he coming at the bottom.
Oh, that's him. That's him.
So this one looks like it's still like a little kitten, kind of, but it's over a year old at this point. She just won't get any bigger.
That's it. Well,
so Mouse is very apropos. Well, we didn't name her Mouse, and when we got her name was Mickey. But a few days after having her, we found out that she's very much quite a mini.
So funny. So quick tangent. My brother, he like does a lot of like farm type stuff. I know you would never expect it. My family's weird. None of us are the same. But my brother had miniature horses when Charlotte was little, and he named the first one Minnie. And Charlotte was old enough to know who Minnie was. Well, then he got 3 more from somebody else, and He was like, Charlotte, you can name it. Well, Charlotte in her head said, well, that one's Minnie. So these other three, that's Mickey, Goofy, and Donald.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah. So he was
For
like,
some
no, it's
reason, when you
named.
said 3, I thought you were gonna go. She was gonna go Huey, Dewey, and Louie, but
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
Mickey, Donald, and Goofy's dope too.
Yeah. Because in his head, he was like, it's miniature, short for miniature. He did not register Minnie Mouse.
She went straight to Minnie Mouse.
Exactly what she thought. Yep.
Kids going cartoon, man. Kids going cartoon.
Sure are. I got one right here that's cartooning. I hope.
Oh, I'm for kids watching YouTube because, like, I don't understand this why cartoons are okay, but YouTube isn't. Because, like, I'm an adult. I don't watch structured TV anymore. I watch YouTube. Like, content that is tailored to your interest is perfectly fine to watch. But you got to watch what these kids are watching on YouTube because it'll be some, like, on YouTube kid shit. And it's not necessarily, like, wrong or even wild, but, like, just the way they do it's creepy sometimes.
There used to be a video, and it was very viral, and most of the parents that were parents in like 2016 are going to know what I'm talking about. But there was a video of like these claymation creatures with there was action figures with like claymation backgrounds, and it always ended with Spider-Man pooping on Elsa. And Izzy would always find her way to that video. No matter what she did, she would find her way to Spider-Man pooping on Elsa. And I would tell her, I said, you better not be watching that. And she would be.
Of course. Like, I remember, of course, I didn't have kids at the time, but I remember when it was like the whole people have invaded YouTube Kids and are putting videos that like the first 3 minutes are fine, but then it's go stab your parents. Here's some violent murder for you to watch real quick.
Yeah,
like, people fucking suck.
Yeah, it's bad. I do think that like the Coco Melon, those type videos can probably be pretty bad. Like I can see a difference in their behavior if they sit and watch a lot of it. Because they say those videos are like really bad for their brains because they move just fast enough to put their brains into overdrive. Like if their brains can process like 20 frames per second, it's moving at 25. And it's just fast enough to where they can't keep up, but they stay wanting that, like trying to chase it. And it does something to their brain, but I can tell like they act totally different when you watch those videos.
TikTok actually rewards your brain in about the same way, because you're not like picking the content or anything. It's just something that's served to you. You get a little dopamine hit every time you're constantly it leaves you searching for that next big dopamine hit of, oh, this is one I really like. I haven't seen Nate and Minion the dog in a little while, and I'm glad to see them. It is designed to give you that dopamine hit, and a lot of YouTube kid stuff is the same way.
I've always wondered why, and we're so far off, but I've always wondered why TikTok, like, I never open TikTok because there's like a few creators that I really like. I never open TikTok and see their videos first. Like if I open Facebook, I'm going to see like your post first. If I open YouTube, whoever I follow the closest I'm going to see. I've always wondered why I have to go look for it on TikTok.
I think it's
probably because most of us use TikTok wrong. Like, I don't know about y'all, but I scroll my For You page. I never go to my following page.
Yeah, no.
Same.
All right, so the For You is for you to discover new shit, but hey, here's a little bit of the shit we already know you like to keep you like. Where it expects you to go, I'm going to go to my following page. The problem is the following page always shows me shit from like 7 days ago. So,
yeah. No, that's a good point. I've started just going and looking for the people I want because TikTok takes too much time. And I know if I start scrolling, I'm done.
Oh, yeah. See, the TikTok search engine is shit, though. Unless you're looking for like a big name person, like you're going to have trouble finding it.
And if you search by the handle, it doesn't bring anything up. No. Like it won't show you what you're actually looking for. Unless
they just shook their own algorithm up by changing everybody's name like in the display from the handle to just whatever their like information is.
Yeah. I don't know. I've kind of stopped using TikTok as much. I've been listening to reading a little bit about how they're handling everything going on in the world, and it's kind of scary. I don't know if I want to get into it, but it's their only goal is like engagement and like you keep coming back.
Oh, and like there is no content moderation other than the TOS that they put out.
There's no incentivization for like because you typically only scroll the video, and if you read the comments are hidden underneath themselves. Really, all that matters is the upfront video. There's no discussion to be had, which is fine. I think that's useful too, but I don't know. It kind of defeats the purpose of having any serious discussion, and people will try to.
Oh yeah, like I personally don't know why TikToks has a comment section. Like I get it, I know why, but like I have never once been like I want to comment on this, other than unless it was like maybe a TikTok of yours and I know you personally.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, it is weird. Like I don't really comment on TikToks either, and like I don't know. I just don't. I don't read the comments unless it's like I didn't get this video. Let me figure out what's going on.
Yeah,
But,
like I'm going for context, not conversation.
Yeah, I've kind of gotten off of TikTok, which is weird because I was really on TikTok for a while.
I just
I go
stick on
back and forth with
Reels.
it.
Just on Reels. And my
Mhm.
Reels are just trash. Like it's a completely like it makes me think I'm a garbage human being because of the stuff I see on there. It's just the worst. For some
See,
reason,
my
I
reels are like really fire, and then just the most god awful shit.
Yep.
mine are just like some kind of like the compilation videos of people getting hurt. Like that pops up in my feed all the time. And I'm like, I don't want this. Like, what is this
I
saying
didn't
about
ask for
me?
this.
See, I'm not gonna lie. I do like to watch a good fight every now and then. And
Okay.
for the longest there was no violence whatsoever on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
So
It
with
wasn't promoted
Reels,
at
I was
all.
like, I could at least watch a dumbass get knocked out 2-3 times a day, 30 seconds going about my day. But now TikTok's like, we don't give a fuck. Because I see guns,
Yeah.
violence, drugs, you name it nowadays. Which is kind of sad and shitty because kids
Yeah.
are definitely all over that. But yeah,
It's
it's
also weird.
Facebook over there now.
Yeah. It's weird with kids though, because like my kids, my oldest have TikTok. You can't keep a TikTok account if you're under the age of like 18. Because once they figure out that you're under 18, they just ban your account. Like my
Yeah.
kids are probably on their seventh or eighth account because
Oh
the moment that
shit.
they like, yeah, the moment that they can tell by your face that you're under 18, they just take your account. Like
Oh, wow.
nothing,
Shit.
no warning, nothing. If you're under 18 and they think you're under 18, they just like my one of my kids hashtagged it with the name of her middle school and the account got banned. Even though it's private, even though like nobody else can see it, you are not allowed on that app unless you're 18.
I mean, that is good, I
Yeah,
guess.
it
It
is.
makes
It's
me
very
happy,
good.
but
Mm.
I
I
mean,
think it's
damn, I don't even. What's the point of being on TikTok if you're under 18 at that point? Because like you don't have time
yeah.
to garner like an algorithm.
Nope. And they have like I'll get followed by so and so got blocked again. And I'm like, what happened?
Jeez.
Thank you. There you go.
Wow,
I
I did not figure they
Oh
would
yeah.
give that much of a fuck.
If they figure out that it's just your account, if that it's just like a underage person's account, they just ban it. Like there's no warning, nothing. And like I said, my kids' accounts are locked down, like under my name, all that stuff. Like I can go and like see everything that they've watched, and it doesn't matter. They'll still ban it.
Well, shit. Oh, all right. We're
Let's
just gonna
actually
keep
get
it
started.
derailed.
I
We
have
will
one more
circle back
tangent.
around.
One more.
Oh no, we're gonna keep on tangents. So go right
Okay.
ahead.
Okay. Did you guys see Crown Jewel?
Oh
Probably
yeah,
not.
I
Or
watched.
and okay.
I
Clips.
watched some
That's
of it.
about it.
But did you see the Logan Paul Rey Mysterio match?
I did not.
Okay, so Logan Paul has
Oh,
already told his side of
yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I will tell you my side of this, but please tell me what you saw. Both
I don't
of
know
I
you.
what
saw,
happened.
I saw another instance of Logan Paul being fucking ring aware and being very, I like begrudgingly say that he's actually really good at for like how long he has been doing this. He's very fun to watch. He's very acrobatic. He put on a great match with Rey Mysterio. They, are both kind of in the same like high flying, very active, momentum-y wrestlers. But I listened to the clip of Logan Paul being like, "Hey, like I kind of fucked up too," um, and I I don't know, like the more time goes on, the more I'm like, okay, maybe you're not such a dick anymore, but I still don't like you.
Yeah, he is, for all intents and purposes, a shitbag, grifting scammer. Like the crypto zoo thing is fucking awful. Blah, blah, blah. But in this today's day and age, you can be a shitbag, grifter, scammer, and everybody's still gonna love you anyway. So let's just fucking. I'm not even gonna have the conversation or make the comment that I was fixing to make because it's not worth arguing about it in the fucking comments. But all of that aside, the dude is fucking phenomenal in the ring for have been doing this as little time as he has and all that fucking great. Yeah, he fucked that spot up. He was about 3 to 4 feet out of place. Like as soon as I watched it, I was like, "Oh, that motherfucker was just out of place. That wasn't even Ray's fault." Like he was still hitting the little clip. He's like, "Yeah, I think Ray just like went too high and not far enough out." And I'm like, "No, you dipshit." He was like hitting it to where he would have come down straight directly onto your shoulder had you been in place, and you were like way the fuck back there. That said, great ring presence and dipping down to catch him. Although everybody's like, Ray was going to break his neck. It was potentially a cruiser. That motherfucker was still 4 feet off the ground and had all the time in the world to throw his hands like this. And then you just curl your little fingers and roll back like that. And you would have just rolled him onto his stomach like that. He was fine. I have done the exact same fucking thing, only just there was nobody there to catch me. I just slipped my foot on the middle rope and come down directly on my head. And all you do is put your hands and it'll roll you out. So, like, it looked like he was about to get hurt, but Ray was fine. Dude'd been doing this way too long to not know how to do that.
That's fair. I just another instance of me really hating how good Logan Paul is at wrestling.
It almost sucks how good he is at wrestling.
Yeah.
I didn't see this, but I remember a couple of pay-per-views ago, there was a similar bad spot with Ricochet, and it felt like a work the way they were talking about it. Like, I feel like it's some of that like meta content that he likes to put. I don't know. I don't know this story at all. So I don't know if it's him working the like meta side of I'm actually a good worker, I'm not a good worker to get people.
You don't know the Ricochet story or the Rey Mysterio story?
I remember seeing the Ricochet spot. I remember thinking it was bad, and then I remember him commenting on it after. I don't know what actually transpired of it though.
All right, so the Ricochet spot was a blown spot too, and it was a little bit of like Ricochet expecting him to have the same timing that he has, and it just did. But it really was a blown spot. And then with this one, it was just he just wasn't where he should have been. Like he shot him in, or well, however the lead up to the spot goes, Ray goes past him, and he just doesn't follow him in like you're supposed to. Just with 2 good strides, and he'd have been right there to catch him for the springboard backflip.
But how often are like spots blown? Because I feel like it's not as uncommon.
It happens every goddamn match, and if it doesn't happen every match, it's every other match. It's just how good are you covering the spots,
right?
You know, some people are awful at it. Like there's a spot in Elimination Chamber 06, 08, somewhere around that area. Chris Jericho has Jeff Hardy or somebody in the walls of Jericho in the like middle of the ring, just off to the side a little bit, and Randy Orton goes to run by him and give him an RKO and completely fucking misses. Just sails right on by, never gets his hands on Jericho's head. So Jericho's just sitting there looking around like, what the shit? And instead of just moving on because they blew the spot, Randy Orton gets back up, runs off the ropes again, and hits the fucking RKO this time, and Jericho sells it. Like, that's 2 of the best to ever do it, blowing the simplest spot of all time. Hey, stick your head out, I'm gonna grab it.
Yeah. Thank you.
I got to see Effie recently. I went to a show in St. Louis, and it was Team Bussy versus these, I can't remember what their names were, but they looked slick. But I watched my first death match in person.
Oh, did you catch Hepatitis sitting in the front row?
Oh, I was in the front row, and I still have a piece of fiberglass in my finger.
Yep, that's deathmatch wrestling's stupid. It's fun to watch like twice, but it's stupid as shit. Josh, do you know who Effie is? I feel like we had this conversation last time.
I don't think so.
Okay. So Effie gained popularity down here in the South, of all places, And Effie is a very flamingly gay wrestler. And
Interesting.
although he made his name, just working shows in the South and being a pretty good wrestler, what really put him on the map was he booked his own show maybe 5 years ago now, if that long, maybe longer. I don't know. But he called it Effie's Big Gay Bash. And you guaranteed saw the fucking dildo spot somewhere on the internet.
Definitely have.
And it blew up, and then Effie I think he's worked AEW a time or two, if not Dark, then maybe on the show once or twice.
Mhm.
But yeah, he has a pretty decent name working indie shows, and his entire thing is I'm the biggest gayest thing in the business.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and I think he's excellent, but
I mean, he's great worker.
He also is a part of an intergender tag team, and they are Team Bussy.
Is he with Kenzie Page?
Alley Catch.
Alley Catch, that's right.
It's
The NWA, I'm thinking the different chick that's in that. I know some of that group of friends. I don't particularly enjoy them, but I know some of that group of friends because a lot of them come out of School of Morton, which is right up in Tennessee.
I see. Okay, should we talk about some really
Actual
bad takes?
Josh, talk about the tournament.
Yeah,
That's what we're here for.
So we ran movie white man's most likely to watch you make you watch. Followed it up with movie a woman's most likely to make you watch. I think it's been really interesting because you can definitely like see the gender difference in the engagement, like how much the men were into the men's tournament, the women were into the women's tournament. Like, even though it was supposed to kind of like not really be like a bashing, but like a poking fun at like dudes for making you watch these movies, it's turned into like a sense of pride for both genders. It's interesting. But
yeah, it was like I knew there was going to be like a little boat rocking at first, and I'm kind of glad it happened on the men's side. I haven't seen any of it in the women's side, anyways. But even the one person that was like made a stink about, oh, what are we saying about these being men? And I'm glad that like very quickly washed over.
Yeah, I agree with you, and it wasn't bad. It was a conversation that was going to have to happen eventually, but it's been good. Everybody's been, a good participant in it. I thought the men's tournament was awesome.
I didn't participate in the men's tournament because I haven't watched a lot of the movies.
So interesting.
But then again, I'm not a movie person. Like, I've never seen Titanic or like any of like the big blockbuster movies. I very much have my like little niche of movies. And it just happens to be I like to cry during movies.
So do you like rom-coms or like the
rom-coms are fine. Nicholas Sparks movies are fine. I just want to feel devastated upon leaving the theater. And I don't know why.
All right. That's definitely a genre.
If I'm watching a movie, like if I'm fixing to invest 2 hours of my life and stuff, I want to laugh. And that's why I think a lot of the men's one had the men interacting, because it was like these are all funny movies that you just watch with a bunch of people.
It is interesting, the men's
movies. For the most part. There was a good bit of those that were also like action thrillers.
Yeah. That's what I was about to say. A lot of the men's movies were more detached from reality. Like, I feel like a lot of the women's movies, which is interesting. It'd be cool to look at the list and compare them and see what you can take away.
I think that I don't know if this, just for me, it makes a big difference, is I was mainly raised by my mom. So I wasn't really ever like, she calls things like Hot Rod or Talladega Nights like stupid boy humor, which I mean it is.
I mean, it is,
but like she would just like poo off those because she's like, it's just dumb. We don't watch that. I'm like, okay, we don't watch it. Or she's like, I don't watch it. So then it became, we don't watch it, because I wanted to do everything my mom did.
Yeah. See, I do feel like the outcast in a lot of that with the guys ones. Like, I do enjoy Step Brothers or at least have enjoyed it. I probably haven't watched it in a decade, but like
It's
Hot
phenomenal.
Rod, not really my thing. Fucking Napoleon Dynamite, like that.
Oh
Just
my
like with The
gosh.
Office and stuff, like the self, not even self degradation, just this is awkward, cringe,
Right.
and like in real life, you would all probably make fun of this person.
Hmm.
Comedy just
Just doesn't
doesn't
do
do
it.
it for me.
I can see that. We showed our kids, um, or I showed the kids Napoleon Dynamite. A couple
So
of them.
good. So
It was
good.
funny. One of them enjoyed it.
That's the
Hell
one
yeah.
like stupid humor movie where I'm like, yeah, this is great. But like for the most part, I've tried I can't even watch stand up though for real.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I just like to feel feelings and I guess I don't like to laugh.
I wonder if that's just like the artist in you, though. Like you're not looking
Maybe,
for.
maybe.
I don't know. I love stand up. I don't watch enough of
I
it.
Yes.
I want to like stand up. I like oh her first name is Eliza.
Elijah Schlesinger,
Yeah,
Schlesinger, I
yes,
fucking love her.
yes, that one. um I don't even want to try to say that like she's not funny. And I've watched her stand up before and I did laugh. Um but I don't know, like I left that one or like the last special she released on Netflix, not the most previous one. It was like, wow, this is yeah, I resonate with this, which is I've never had um done before in
Interesting.
like any comedy because she was talking about like the plight of being a woman and making it really funny and talking about reproductive health and like things that were like definitely like ouch but also like yeah, can you believe this is freaking insane. So maybe I just need I don't know, I need help. Somebody in the
That's
comments
100%
tell
what it
me.
is. You need to just find like comedians. This is why, like, as sad as it is, we look to comedians on podcasts for our like legitimate news takes at this point because
Yep.
everybody, at least nowadays, generally has a comedian that like is just their kind of person that they resonate
Mm-hmm.
pretty well with. Unfortunately for me, I tend to end up with the Rogans, the Burt Kreischer's, the Tom Segura's, and Joey Diaz's. But that's, I mean, comedians, like their job is to make you laugh in the shit world that you deal with
Mm-hmm.
because it's the
And
shit world that they deal with or dealt with at one point in time.
and a lot of comedians aren't just telling like jokes. They're making observations that are like kind of cathartic to see that somebody else is seeing it and putting the sense. I will say though that like it makes sense that you were less into it because it's largely been a white man's world for a long time. And I mean it still is, but there's a lot more representation now, which is good.
Mm-hmm. I think
Yeah.
the other one I remember watching, Hassan Minaj's special that he
Yeah.
did on Netflix. I can't remember what it was called, but I was so like moved by his special.
Yeah.
But like it was
He's
it was
fantastic.
like super dark because he's like talking about like
He's-
growing up in America, but
It's
also
wild
like
that you went
makes
from
it
Eliza
funny.
to Hassan because,
I don't
like,
know.
I
I
like
don't know.
both, but they're just like two ends of like not quite the political, not quite the social. They're just like two ends of a fucking spectrum because, like, Eliza is, I mean, she does do a lot of like the plight of the woman and like this is how it sucks for us, but she also like she runs around in Joe Rogan's circle and like that's the type of comedy that she does. And then you have Hassan who is just woke as fuck, fucking completely left side comedy. And so that's what I love about comedy is those two people are also friends.
Yeah,
And you only see that in comedy nowadays. Like, I mean, I'm not
that's
one to
true.
defend some of the abhorrent things that shit like that gets said on Rogan. Like, I still watch Rogan's podcast, not all the time because he has like a bunch of really morally bankrupt people on there. But when it's him and his comedian buddies, it's to me funny and a
Yeah.
good conversation to listen to because it's the last bastion of no fucks given here. Like, I don't give a fuck what you think about this thing that I probably don't like. And although we can't operate like that in society anymore, it is fun to see it happen, I guess.
Yeah. That's interesting. I
I
didn't
do agree
realize
with
they
you.
were so opposite.
I do agree with you though. It's one of the last places where we can have like these conversations that one person's starting.
Mhm.
I mean, there's a responsibility to it, but there's still conversations that have to happen, especially when
It's just comedy works really well to, at the very least, soften the blow of the conversation sometimes.
Mhm.
Like it's real easy to get mad at a joke, but it's harder to want to hit somebody in the mouth or cry when you're also trying not to laugh at the horrible thing.
Yeah.
yeah, I agree with you. And most comedians don't take themselves serious enough to think that they're preaching to you or anything.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
true. That's fair.
And
Okay,
not to
so
keep bringing up the bald bastard, but that's one of the things I love the most about Rogan is he's gonna tell you the stupidest fucking thing you've ever heard in your life. He's also gonna tell you I'm about to say the stupidest fucking thing you've ever heard in your life. Please don't take me seriously.
Yeah.
that's fair.
Trying to think who was the comedian. I don't even know if he's still around. He was really big like 15 years ago. Lewis Black, is that his name? Like pretty political, but just
Yeah,
angry all the
yeah,
time.
Lewis
That
Black.
that shtick would never work today.
Oh God, no.
I mean, he's just like that's what you encounter everywhere.
Yeah, no, that's just typical 40-year-old white guy now.
Yeah. Yeah, he's probably in his F-150 recording a video right now.
Oh Lord.
Megan, what were you about to say with the but also a second ago before I interrupted you?
I need to talk about the fact that 21 Dresses won against Pride and Prejudice. I truly like I have an issue with Katherine Heigl because I don't like the roles that she has played. Therefore, I'm kind of like projecting like I don't like her. I don't know anything about her. I don't know her life, but I hate her because she was Izzy Stevens and fuck Izzy Stevens. But 27 Dresses was okay. She's a bridesmaid, but never the bride, falls in love with the guy. The end.
And it
Pride
was
and Prejudice is a work of art. Ugh.
and 27 Dresses, I may be misremembering, but it was like not critically well received. It was like very
Mm-mm.
derivative, very unoriginal.
Mhm.
I do every time that like something like that happens, the first thing I do is think, okay, when did these movies come out? And for the most part, the group's around my age, which 27 Dresses came out when I was 18. So
Mm.
I'm sure there was a lot of 18-year-old dudes dating 18-year-old girls who made them watch 27 Dresses, and that memory stuck forever. And I'm sure there's a lot of, the movies that came out when I was 18, I still like too, even the ones that aren't good.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, it's
it's just
just
what it is.
nostalgia, man.
Yeah,
Even if you don't
different
like it,
time.
you're like, I had to watch it. I'll give it a watch again.
Right. You just
Pride
hold
and
on. That's
Prejudice is just such. I didn't watch the movie until I read the book, and I didn't read the book until I was 28. Um,
interesting. We had to
I
read it in
never,
school.
I never read it in school. I read Jane Eyre
Yeah,
instead.
We read Jane Eyre. Um,
I don't
we
remember reading
read
either, and we went to
we
the
read
same damn school.
we read
It
Jane
was in
Eyre,
ninth grade.
Pride and Prejudice. We read Sense and Sensibility.
Mm.
We got through all of them.
I don't
But
think I've never. I'm still getting through Little Women, but like a lot of like the classic female authors, um, I don't know. I just missed that boat. Except for Jane Eyre,
interesting.
we read like an excerpt of it in ninth grade, and I was like, "This seems dramatic," and oh boy, is it?
Wuthering Heights, not Sense and Sensibility. We read Wuthering Heights.
Oh yeah,
I
that's another one.
independently read Wuthering Heights in high school.
Interesting.
But that's you.
Not not out of joy or anything. I was in this credit recovery class, which is, hey,
Mhm.
you failed a class. We're gonna let you take it by yourself on a computer, and the max you can get is a C out of it. And I got to like the end of the English class that I had failed portion. It was like, you need to do an essay, and I knew that I could do the essay on whatever I want, and like it would take me a day to do, but I lied to the credit recovery teacher and told him it needed to be a book report, and I picked one of the only books in the classroom because he wouldn't let me go get another book, and it just happened to be Wuthering Heights, and I pretended to read that bitch for like 3 weeks.
Okay, I might be mixing them up, but is Wuthering Heights, or I think it might be Pride and Prejudice, where like the guy's house catches on fire?
No, I've never read Wuthering Heights, but that's
Okay.
not Pride and Prejudice, I don't think.
And
Yeah.
Wuthering Heights is the old bastard in the snow. And
that's it.
Oh wait, I think there is a fire in Jane Eyre.
Jane Eyre.
Yeah. Yeah. I've read Jane Eyre 3 times, and every single time I'm like, wow, this is a long freaking book.
That was
It's
the
so
first book
good.
where I can remember like actively zoning out for like multiple pages and having to go back to reread it, only to zone
Yeah.
out again.
I think I loved it mostly because everyone like at first I hated it, and then I was like, yeah, like it's fine. And then by the end of it, I was like, damn it, now I like this book. What the fuck am I supposed to do with that?
see, that was me with The Giver. Like at
Oh,
first,
such a good
I was
book.
like, this is fucking awful, and like they just live in a game of The Sims. And by the end of it, I was like, pedal, you little bastard, pedal. And now it's like one of my all-time favorite books.
Such a great book. Gathering Blue, the follow-up to it, also very good.
Never read
Did
that.
not know there was a follow up.
Well, it's
Now
like
I'm
kind of
gonna
like in the
pirate a
same
children's book in the
universe.
middle of the night. No, speaking of children's books, if you're an Aragon fan, you got to read the new one that came out. I finished it in like 28 hours.
Check it out. I was
Like
excited.
actual like 13 hours of reading time. But like bought that bitch, finished that bitch.
That's
And it's
what I
like
do.
it's definitely gonna be a series. I try not to do it, but I was just like, it's only 700 pages. Like it's only 700. I can just
You're a
do that,
fantasy
right?
reader though. You're like high
Yeah.
fantasy,
Different.
like
It's like a marathon
thousands
runner.
of pages, so many books in a series, like but
Yeah, but
I'm
see, I'm
I'm
extremely
entering
picky.
it.
Yeah, I'm like, I say I'm a fantasy reader. I read 3 fantasy series. I just one of them just happens to be 10 books and 3.5 million pages long.
Yeah, well
But
that's what
like,
yeah. That's
I
what I refer
don't,
to.
I don't pick up other stuff. I'll probably reread Malazan and the Aragon series 5 times before I start a new series again.
That's fair. I'm in my so I on book talk, everyone's talking about A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I was like, okay, like that's fine, whatever. But then it was available on a book app, or it's like an Audible kind of but library type thing called Hoopla, and they had like dramatized readings of it. So the it's graphic audio, and it's a movie, but it's for your ears. And that's what they say at the beginning of every book. And it really got me into the series, and it was like literally like listening to a movie, but I couldn't focus on it because they had like background noises and like falling noises, and like music at some points is very dramatic.
Okay, I do like YouTube comic book readers that do
I do
that.
too.
So that might be
Okay.
my answer to audiobooks. My problem with audiobooks and what I want to ask both of y'all, because Josh, you do audiobooks, right?
I typically do not.
Oh, okay.
I've done a
Thought you
few,
did for
but
some reason.
I
All
do
right,
a lot of
Megan, do you
podcasts.
normally do audiobooks?
Mm-hmm.
Do you do them on a book you may have already read?
No.
Okay, see, here's my thing. And this is why I could never do Malazan on audiobooks. I tried to do it once. If I have already read it, or if it's something I would like want to switch back and forth, I cannot get over the fact that the narrator or reader or whatever you want to call the person does not use the same fucked up names that I use for pronunciation or the voice that I have given them in my head. And so I'm
That's
just like,
so
no,
funny.
no, this is
That's
all
so
wrong. I
funny.
can't deal with you. Get out of here. I'd rather just read it myself.
So when I was in 6th grade, there was a kid, and he wasn't the smartest kid in class by any means, but it was when Harry Potter was big, and he was reading them, and he came to talk to us about it. And I don't remember the exact way he said it, but or the exact context, but he pronounced Hermione one, and he got so much shit for it. So
Oh,
much. He was like, "Well, what about Hermione one?" I'm like,
pardon
All right,
me.
come on now, big dog. You knew that wasn't right before you said it.
like I said, this was probably the only books he had read. And
Oh.
he also pronounced Snape Snap. He was like the E silent. I was like, I don't think so. So there's a movie coming out and we can discuss it then, but
You YouTube has fucking humbled me as a reader because the guy who wrote Malazan has a pretty not like large, but he's active on YouTube. Not so much his own channel, but like other people, because Malazan Tube is a thing. Like there's
oh, that's cool.
a really successful podcast called 10 Very Big Books that's just about the Book of the Fallen. And he'll pop in and do interviews, and like his advanced reader has a channel that's all about discussing narrative and literary devices and stuff, and he'll top in and do things with him. And I will have like been like, I know this is how it's pronounced. Like the rules of fucking English say that this has to be pronounced like this, and this dickhead will be talking and like the word is K apostrophe RULL. I'm like, that's K rule. Has to be K rule, right?
I was
This
gonna say
motherfucker coming.
cruel.
All right, so yeah, him and Cruel, and I'm like, no,
Yeah,
no,
that's
that's
what I was
not how
thinking.
apostrophes work. Goddamn it! Like 2 days ago, I have called this city in these books Yugatton, or why, or not Wygatton, but Yugatton or Wagatton the entire time.
Is it
Say
Egaton?
why? It's Egaton, and I'm like, oh, I'm
That's so
so
funny.
mad because Egaton doesn't even sound cool. Yugatton sounds cool.
Egaton.
Oh no.
That's so funny.
Oh, I was so goddamn mad because I listened to these fucking podcasts. And they're just like, when they talked about that particular city, and since Meghann might do Malazan one day, I don't want to talk about what happens. But when they, the thing, they talk about the thing, I was like, no, that is not how you say that.
That's
I'm
another
going to tell
good thing.
you how your word pronounced.
That's a good thing about listening to audiobooks though, because then you like know how things are pronounced, because like there are so many things within this book series that I'm reading right now, which is Throne of Glass, which is by the same author as A Court of Thorns and Roses. And it's 7 books. So there's quite a bit to get through. But it's young adult, which is like, when I think of young adult, it is not like a very world building heavy, no romance, all
I don't
fighting
know. What's that? What's it? Redwall or whatever. It was about the fucking mice that were adventurers. It was a huge fucking 8, 9, 10 book series.
I don't remember that.
I have no clue what you're talking about.
I'm going to find these real quick. Yeah, continue. I'm listening, but I'm going to find these.
I don't even remember what I was talking about.
It fucking is Redwall. I can't. That is a giant young adult series for kids called Redwall. And Meghann, both of the middle school or elementary schools we went to, because you went to Monrovia and Endeavor, right?
I just went to Monrovia.
Okay, either way, I know Monrovia had a copy of them, and Endeavor had a copy of them, and Monrovia Middle had a copy of them.
Oh, I'm at Monrovia Middle. I was at a charter school for elementary school.
I know Monrovia Middle had them, but either way, yeah, I'm surprised you've never heard of them. It's a fantasy series that someone tried to get me into after I read Aragon in 4th grade, but I just didn't like them.
I was such a I stuck my nose up to fantasy for so long that when I got through A Court of Thorns and Roses, I was like, okay, maybe this is like really good. And then that's how I started on Throne of Glass, and now I'm like, do I want to try more?
Yes, you do. That's the thing about fantasy is it's all the other forms of as far as fiction goes. It's all the other categories draped into one, especially when you get into high fantasy and epic fantasy, because then it's just how much shit can we pile into this D&D campaign on pages?
Yeah. That's kind of how it feels like reading fantasy is just listening to a D&D campaign, but
A lot
with
of it is
like, I don't know, I don't know, I've never played D&D, but I
like
have
a really good DM.
watched. Yeah, yeah. I've
So I
watched
had
drag queens play D&D, which was very good, and everyone should watch it.
so I actually think that's why I fell in love with Malazan so much. Is it's not so much a D&D game, but the two authors, but the main author and his buddy used to play Catan and GURPS, which is the someone's universal role playing game rules, whatever. Was before D&D was a thing. It was GURPS. And most of at least the first half of the books are just a fucking campaign that they ran over like 7 or 8 years. That he then turned into these fucking massive stories off of their characters and the subliminal magic system that they had come up with using GURPS and shit. And like after you know that, when you're reading the book, you can be like as I'm rereading it, I'm like, oh no, I know this is an encounter. Like I can tell that this is an exact encounter that they had, and that it was so big they remembered it because I can tell by how he writes out like this happened in the fight and the way I'm like that can only happen on a tabletop. And like I'm
That's
like,
really
oh,
cool.
that was a failed fucking save. That was just like that was a natural 20 right there.
That's
It's
really
so
cool.
fucking dope.
That's neat. I like that writing style of just like what's the court person called? Like basically just writing the notes of what actually happened. That's
Oh,
neat.
just
Scribe.
Yeah,
scribing.
I think that's cool.
It would be so fun to have in a D&D group because everybody needs a good scribe in a D&D group, but nobody wants to pay the fuck attention and write down notes.
Right.
I would rather be the scribe than actually play the game or like play the campaign, because like I get so much anxiety when playing games of any kind that I'm like, I just
I'm
want to watch.
I'm so I always end up playing like a very basic like background character just so I can do that because I like to go along for the journey and I like to be able to talk with the group when we come to major decisions, but I don't want to like actually be the one deciding like, well, we need to do this, all that. Like that's never going to be me. I'm literally there for the journey.
I think that's how I would be too.
I am the worst DM known to man, but I managed to get a couple of should never have played D&D people through a couple of really challenging campaigns. So I'm going to take it as an accomplishment. When I'm playing, I am full role play, all about it. I have to be an active role in the fucking group. Like, there is no taking notes. Fuck them notes. I don't even like playing spellcasters because I don't want to be writing that much.
Interesting.
I am. What's its AC? Yeah, I beat it. Take this damage. That's my entire MO. Can I steal it? Can I whack it? Can I kill it? All right.
Very primitive of you.
Yeah. Life philosophy.
Simple man.
Was there anything else from the group we need to discuss? I'm trying to think.
I'm trying to look at the matchups and see.
Oh, what do you think's going to win? I meant to
Is
ask
Sweet Home
that.
Alabama still in it?
Mm-hmm.
That's my choice.
What did
Interesting.
Sweet Home Alabama lose to?
Oh,
Or
is it not?
Who lost to Sweet Home Alabama rather? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
I
Either.
voted on it earlier and can't remember.
Sweet Home Alabama is up against Princess Bride in this round.
That's what it was.
That's a rough one.
Yeah. I kind of like the idea of Princess Bride winning. I get that it's not just a women's movie, but
see, that's why I'm voting for Sweet Home Alabama because, like, I love Princess Bride, so
right.
and I would
Princess
force you
Bride
to
is
watch
great.
that. So,
Titanic might win. That's a really boring answer.
I would be so. It's just like, of course, it's gonna win. Like there are some tournaments that we have that I'm just like, really, y'all?
Yeah.
Think outside the
we
box.
either go with the most obvious thing or the most obvious thing that's going to piss everybody off. That's what we do.
See, I like when we find like the answer that makes sense only if you think about it. And in this tournament,
That's the best.
I think it's 10 Things I Hate About You because every woman I've talked to about that movie secretly loves it.
I've
It
never
seems
seen
like from an
that.
outside looking in, I could see that. Like that sounds like the answer to the if you think about it.
And it's winning right now too.
Is
How
it
is
winning right
this
now?
winning? Yeah.
It's
I
up
could
And
see
again.
Princess
Legally Blonde
Diaries.
making a run.
I could see it winning too.
I could see
What is
that
10 Things I
winning
Hate
too.
About You up against? Princess Diaries?
Princess Diaries.
Yeah, I
An
would vote. I voted
incredible
10 Things I Hate
movie.
About You. I'm
I
telling
love
you,
Princess
people love
Diaries.
that movie.
It's so strange. But like this has been really interesting to watch because none of the ones that I thought were gonna be like finale, like finals totally like just steamrolled everything. Like, I don't know. I thought that Pride and Prejudice would still be in, but you uncultured swine just don't know what it's like.
I thought it
To
was
be
interesting how many Shakespeare adaptations made it. A lot of them I didn't even know were Shakespeare.
yeah.
But 10 Things I Hate About You is Shakespeare.
Hmm.
Clueless is Shakespeare. There was a few more that people were commenting was like, this is a Shakespeare adaptation. That might
It's
be a
like
fun
a lot
tournament
of
down the road.
fucking things. Shakespeare adaptations.
Lion King is.
Yep, that's
Hmm.
Othello, right?
Yes, I think
Or
so.
not?
I think
It's
it's
not
Macbeth.
Othello. It's
Oh, it's
Macbeth.
yeah,
That's what it is.
Macbeth.
It's
Yeah,
Macbeth. Another one's Othello. I just can't
Yeah,
remember which
something's
fucking one.
Othello.
I don't.
Interesting one.
I'm so mad that Hocus Pocus won against 51st Dates.
I thought
That
Hocus
was
Pocus was
another
going to
one.
win it all. I really thought that Hocus Pocus was going to take it just because of when we ran the tournament.
That's
Yeah, that
true.
was a perfect storm right there. That actually really surprises me.
What did y'all
And
think would win the men's tournament? Did y'all think it'd be Fight Club from the start?
I
oh
thought it'd be
yeah,
Fight Club.
oh
Fight Club
yeah.
or Wolf of Wall Street.
Wolf of
I've
Wall
never
Street's gonna.
seen
I
Wolf
thought it
of
was gonna
Wall
be Pulp
Street.
Fiction.
Pulp
You never
Fiction
seen
would
Wolf of
be
Wall
another
Street?
one. I have seen Fight Club though, and I loved it so much that I wrote a in during the November or was it November 27th, the tornadoes that came through? No, it's April
April
27th.
27th.
April 27th.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I read Fight Club for pre-AP English
Mhm.
during the tornadoes and like all
Wow.
thereafter. So I wrote my like 10-page book report by hand and like did an entire book report on this thing. And I came in after we got power back and stuff, and my teacher was like, "You really didn't have to do that." And I was like, "But it's so good.
The book's
His
so much better.
name was
So good.
Robert Paulson. I've never read the book. I probably need to do that sooner or later.
Super
It's
good."
like 180 pages. It's really short, but it
Yeah,
is
it's an
good.
easy read. Yeah.
Make sure you get the like prologue and epilogue that he's added to it because the stories in there are wild. It's definitely worth checking out.
Oh yeah.
If you
Speaking
haven't
of
read any,
one last thing for books before we get back off of it, did you ever get a copy of Cain's Jawbone? Because I still have mine.
I still have mine. It's
We should
somewhere around
like
here.
what eventually. Like, we don't really have time to work on it. I know I don't. I'm sure
Mhm.
you don't. We should
No.
probably like open that up to the group at some point.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I read there's a Reddit thread on it after it picked up popularity. A lot of the stuff is stuff that I would have never been able to pick up on. It's like 14th century like monks names are referenced on 2 pages so that you know that those two monks were brothers or something. Like it's weird stuff like that. That like
I
you would
mean, I
have to
was
be
definitely over ambitious in my drunkenness when I told you we would figure this shit out. But at some point, I feel like me and you are going to figure this out before we're
be
old and
fun.
gray.
Is
It
that
would be
kind
fun.
of like House of Leaves, where like you have to like read it like backwards
Oh,
and
give her the
forwards and
spiel,
upside
Josh. Give
down?
her the
And
spiel.
So
okay,
a puzzle writer in the 1920s used to write these books and you had to like figure out who it was and you had to guess who you had to figure out who committed the crime. And then he would publish them in, I guess it was newspapers at the time. And then the next week he would give you the answer and give you a chance to figure it out. Well, he wrote a book called Cain's Jawbone that was supposed to be like that. It had 6 people that died and 6 murders, and you had to figure out who the 6 were. And you read it through, and there were all these clues, and you had to go piece together the clues. except when the book got published, every page was out of order. Not on purpose, it was an accident. So not only did you have to figure out this in like one of the best written puzzles of all time, you had to put the pages in order first. And after he did this, a lot of people were trying and couldn't do it. And he said, I'll offer a prize to anyone who can give me the order of the pages and answer all 6 murderers, all 6 victims. And up until 2020, only 3 people had done it in 100 years. And then in 2020, a crossword puzzle writer for the New York Times during the pandemic spent 4 months doing it and figured it out.
Did he write about it? Can I read about it?
He definitely has done some interviews about it. But after that, another company bought the rights to the book and had $100 prize if you could figure it out by December 31st of last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that anybody figured it out.
I don't think I saw anything about anybody after the 4th person doing it.
I expected there to be spoilers and stuff. I expected people to be able to like, put it in some kind of like learning system and figure it out. And I don't remember seeing anybody that had. And I mean, it's not like anything straightforward. Like, I don't think like I could figure it out, even if all the pages were in order. But figuring out the order of the pages is the first step. And it's very interesting. And I like that kind of stuff, but it is beyond difficult.
Yeah.
But the books come with perforated lines so you can cut them out and like hang them up and stuff.
Oh, I love that. That's so cool.
It's a whole adventure. I wish I had found it during the pandemic so that I could just do that. So I could just
that would have been
on that.
Real dope. See, Josh told me about this a little over a year ago now, and I think actually Casey bought me a copy of it, but I got a copy of it too, and we just never got to work on it because life, and then we started this, and that's just a fucking lot.
That sounds like so much.
Yeah, my plan was to, because it's like 50 pages, and it's not the full page isn't text either, so it's not like a whole lot. My plan was to put it in like Excel and then run some formulas to try to connect certain words, try to figure out what was
cheating
like,
bastard.
Rubbin's racing, but I was gonna see what I could do to.
Did you just say Rubbin's racing?
You've never heard that? It's what
I know. I have. It just you said it so naturally, and oftentimes I forget you are just as backwater pond scum as I am.
Yeah. That's
I've never heard that before.
You've never heard that? It is I'm pretty sure it is a Dale Earnhardtism.
Oh, good.
Josh,
do you speaking of TikTok and shit like that earlier, I see it more on Reels nowadays. Have you seen the guy that does Southern Grandpa sayings?
So, that guy, like, when I say that I go look up creators on TikTok, that's the guy I go look up. I ended up finding him on Facebook, and he lives down here near me. And he's been doing stand-up at local places, open mic night type stand-up. Because you forget these people aren't actually famous. Well, the other day he said, hey, I'm looking for some bars to do stand-up. Does anybody know any? Somebody recommended the bar 2 miles from my house. And he was like, thanks, I might check that out one Wednesday. And now I want to go and see if he goes. That guy is amazing.
You better go too. How often, not even how often, how pissed off do you get when one of them in every video inevitably ends up being something you say twice a week minimum?
And I've started adding them to my lexicon. Like, I'm going to hit you so hard your shoulders clap behind your back. That one kills me.
Good.
That's so good.
And then,
I mean, it is shit I say on a daily basis.
It's so good.
A lot of it sounds exactly like my grandpa, and it's even better because my grandma's name is Shirley. And that's the one he uses all the time. Yeah. So I'm just like, oh, that's my grandpa talking. And I grew up around this bastard, so this is shit I say all the time.
That's so funny. Yeah, it is. And I don't know where he like gets it from. Like the fighting ones are always my favorite. And he does the little foot thing where he like stumbles his feet really fast. God, so good.
You have an easier time nailing Jello to a tree fucking with me.
There's one where he puts his newspaper down and he says, boy, you got a better chance of getting me pregnant than taking me. And the way he delivers it.
I think my favorite of those is you'd have a better time trying to sandpaper a bobcat's ass in a phone booth than fucking me.
Wow.
You got to look them up. There's like 33 of them. Yeah,
if you haven't seen this, Meghann, you've got to just Southern Grandpa sayings.
And then
you're going to be like, I've heard Andy say that.
Yeah.
Like, probably.
He's added a character named Dolores And
Oh,
Dolores
Dolores
is
is hilarious.
amazing.
Dolores
Those
is that
videos,
redneck aunt that had the cigarette holder. That you
Yeah.
know exactly what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Everybody that's gonna hear this is gonna know exactly who we talking about.
There's a video of Dolores going to bingo that I've probably watched 100 times and still laugh at. It is phenomenal. But yeah, his name's Justin Stagner, and his videos are incredible.
But you definitely got to go watch him do stand up and report back to me on
I
that.
definitely want to.
I think stand-up is fun though. I don't like watching comedy specials, but I love watching stand-up.
So there's a lot of people in the group. Used to be a couple more, but there's a lot of people in the group that do like the open mic nights around Florence and Huntsville. And I really wish I could get up to them because they're like the ones that set them up.
There's
And I
that
really
one
wish I
dude
could.
that I don't think he talks in the group very much anymore, but he lived in Huntsville and then like moved to Florida. And he did Kill
Oh yeah,
Tony not
Zach.
too long ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Zach Hedrick and Brent Reed, they're best friends. Brent stand up. If you go look up like his reels, they are hilarious. He's really good at it. Zach is too. They're both really good. But yeah, I knew I was dating Brent's friend like 8 years ago. And that's how I know Brent. But yeah, they're both really good at it.
All right, guys. Well, this has been really fun, but my laptop is fixing to die. So
Yeah. This
It's
has to be the
late.
most off the wall episode we've done. I
hey,
can't
I
wait
trust
to hear it.
Meghann to piece it together from all this bullshittery.
I have nothing to do tomorrow, so
It's great.
Hell yeah.
Well,
Well,
gotta start
as
doing this more
always,
often.
if you have made it this far into the podcast, we thank you very much. And also, you should probably go see somebody about that because you got bigger problems than we do.
oh yeah, yeah.
But thank you for coming out to another episode of the Battleground of Bad Opinions podcast. My name's Andy.
Josh.
And I'm not Andy. I'm Meghann.
Asleep. You're asleep.
I'm asleep.
She's asleep. Bye bye.
The more that I hear about you guys like talking about not your kids specifically, because your kids seem great and fine. But like the lifestyle of being a parent, ugh,
Don't do it.
couldn't
No,
do it.
It's the
I'll be
most
honest with
rewarding
you.
thing.
Yeah, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
It's the most rewarding thing in the world. And it's
Sure,
absolutely, you absolutely have to earn every bit of it. It is so hard. It wears you down.
But for the most part, a lot of it is you just fall into routines. And like as
Yeah.
long as most things stay the same, then it's not a big deal. Now they're kids, so like you get a curveball every 38 seconds. But for the most part, it's just let's just do the same shit we did yesterday and we'll make it through today.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the biggest. And that's the hardest part with so many is every day is a new adventure.
Josh, I've always wanted to ask you this question. Did you ever plan to have as many kids as you have?
I never thought I would have kids, period. Like
wow.
No,
all
'cause
through
motherfuckers just can't pull out of a driveway.
all through high school.
Speaking of,
like,